Hopefully somebody will find this video useful. It's going to cover off everything that I took to New Zealand for a week-long fishing trip with Wilderness Fly Fishing Adventures. So here, first of all, is a packing cube of my normal clothes. 5 pairs of undies and 5 shirts, a pair of shorts to wear. These proved to be very useful. Because for wet wading, the guys typically wear almost tights, and then they cover them with a pair of shorts like this. So I actually got a lot of use out of these shorts. This is my sleepwear, and this is what I wore on the plane. These are sort of some longer pants by Raven, and these are the boots that I wore on the plane. And in terms of items that I forgot, that I wish that I'd had, I definitely would have liked to have had a pair of Crocs. I did not take these, but I would have liked to have had a pair of Crocs to wear at night, so I didn't need to put back on socks and shoes after I've spent the whole day in waders or the whole day wet wading. So all my gear was transported in this duffel bag, and I put an air tag on the duffel bag. And most of the stuff here was in these 2 packing cubes, or just separate in the duffel bag. Good old Sims buff, and a pair of sun gloves. If I did it again, I'd take a second pair of sun gloves so I could wash them, and because they did get quite dirty. A beanie, which I didn't need. 2 sets of warm fingerless gloves, which I did use those on one of the days. Then 2 jumpers. One by Speaker Camo and one by Appalachian Gear Company, a slightly warmer one. I used both of those. Then some Patagucci pants, and I wore those for wet wading and dry wading. They dry very, very quickly. They don't have any warmth to them, but they're just a barrier layer between the waders and my legs. And then I bought some specific Squala warm wading pants, but it was too warm for me to wear them. But maybe if it was colder, they would be useful. I took these 3 jumpers, a Sims one, a Rab one that's down, and then a synthetic Arc'teryx. I used all of those at different times. I had too many, but if it had rained and I'd got stuff wet, it might have been useful to have those. Some Helly Hansen thermals. I actually wore the Helly Hansen top on a few of the nights. It was quite cold. A really nice camo cap from Darren Asquith at Untamed Flies and Tackle. And then 3 Sims sun hoodies, and I wore these interchangeably. These got sweaty every day, and luckily at the lodge we were staying at in Lumsden, the lady who ran it, I think Tracy, she was willing to do washing, so actually I did have these washed a couple of times. These are the Sims wading socks, and I used those. My Squala waders, and then some Orvis boas. And if you look here, you can start to see the beginning of some fraying of the cable that's happening. I spoke a lot to Chris, the host, the Australian host, and he was saying that he would recommend lace boots, that they'd be much safer, that if these fail, then you're stuffed. I keep all my socks in this little sort of traveling shoe bag. So I took 2 pairs of thick socks, that's Smart Wool and Icebreaker or whatever it is. And those are very, very good to wear when wet wading, because they I just found it very, very comfortable if you're wet wading with those. And then the neoprene socks by Orvis or Sims or whatever it is, and then your wading boots. Slightly thinner socks, Smart Wool. These I also wore these quite a lot inside my waders. They were great. And then some Smart Wool, much thinner socks for travel and going to the pub. Yeah, no need to go through the contents of the toiletry bag, but just going to call out a few items that were very useful to have. Rennie's Claritine for hay fever, Voltaren. I didn't actually use the Voltaren, but I gave Voltaren tablets to a few people. These are little ear plugs for snoring people, tweezers and some nail clippers. This is some hand cream, and very, very important, these are eye drops. I got an eye infection in one of my eyes, and this sorted me out. So definitely some form of eye drops. So I'm currently fishing with a Fish Pond Thunderhead lumber pack. I absolutely love this. So on this side here I've got a magnet where I can attach my net to when I'm happy for my net to be on my right hand side. And this is the water bottle holder. It's my water bottle. And then I set up my my wading staff here. I only had to use the wading staff on one of the rivers. It was very slippy. And then this is my rain jacket. It's a sort of like a medium weight RAB rain jacket, and I actually can put that in its pouch, and that fits nicely how I put it on this side over here in the waterproof Thunderhead. But I hardly had any rain, just a couple of hours on my last day, and I do wonder whether I might have been better served actually taking a proper rain jacket. This is my my skiing jacket, my Arc'teryx skiing jacket, 25-year-old Arc'teryx skiing jacket. So I do wonder if I shouldn't have maybe had that. Luckily we had good weather, but the guys who fished with Wilderness the week before us, they had pretty bad weather. So I'm not going to go through the contents of my rod bag. Suffice to say that it had an air tag in it. And that way I knew the bag was at Sydney Airport, but for some reason it ended up coming out in the oversized luggage area. The main rod that I fished was my R.L. Winston Air 2 9-foot 6 weight, and I fished that with 2 reels, Ross Evolution RS with a Rio Predator line on it, and a Ross Evolution LTX with an Airflow Superflow tactical line on it. I took 2 different sets of Polaroids, and I actually think I preferred the grey ones. I've got grey and rose. I think I preferred the grey. And then on a couple of days I fished my Asquith 9-foot 5 weight, and I've got a hatch reel with a Rio Gold line on it, which is a wonderful combination. And then these are the leaders I was playing around with, a Rio 12-foot 4X and a Rio 15-foot 4X. And I think the Rio 15-foot 4X is the one to go for. So I'm a vest guy. So at the back of my vest I've got an Orvis net retractor. And I've actually got a second fish pond magnet which is attached to my net. So I can carry the net either high up on my vest if I'm going through the bushes, or I can carry it low down on my lumber pack. In this pocket over here, in the front of the pocket, I carry these 2 sets of gloves, the woolen gloves at the bottom and the sun gloves at the top. And then in this pocket over here, I carry a torch, and I carry the Weber sensor for measuring water temperature, and I also carry my InReach in this front pocket here, top pocket. In the bottom pocket at the front here, carry my fly box here in the back, and then in this pocket here I carry some Henry Sinkit balloon, some soft weight, and some split shot. So in other words, that's a sinking pocket. These are my Oros strike indicators. That's a floating pocket. Here are my hatch nippers, a little cloth to wipe my GoPro lens, and this is from my New Zealand strike indicator, and then a hook hone to sharpen my hooks if they get blunt. Over here in this front pocket, this is where I keep all my leaders, different leaders, and then in the back pocket here I keep my iPhone I keep my spare batteries for my DJI Osmo Action 4, and I keep my sun buff. Down in the outside pocket here, I keep my Nivea lip balm for my lips and for putting on my nose. I keep a measuring tape to measure the fish, obviously, and then the grapholine ferrule wax for putting the rod together. And in this other little pocket here, UV knot sense and pailleté paste to float something. Here is my forceps. It's also got scissors, so I can trim the top of a New Zealand shrike indicator. I've got my Monomaster for spare waste line, Trout Hunter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5. I've got my Loon top ride and a quell, and lastly, on a neck mount, I've got my Osmo Action 4. From an electronics perspective, I took everything in this little Patagonia black bag. So most importantly, the Garmin InReach. I then took my GoPro 12 with 3 spare batteries, and that was what I attached to my net using this cycling clamp for the sort of the net captures. I do have a polarizing filter for my GoPro, but I did not use that. I didn't put that on. Most of the front-on vlogging style shots are done using the DJI Pocket 3, which is superb. And then I used my Garmin Phoenix watch, and that's the recharging cable, and I recorded all the routes that we fished and all my fish counts. I took my iPad Pro. I also took my AirPod earphones, and that's a little recharging cable for the AirPod earphones because they are not USB-C. The actual action shots were captured using this DJI Action 4. So I bought that for my Murray River fishing adventure earlier on this year, and basically it's double the battery life of the GoPro 12, and it doesn't overheat. I have the 3 ND filters for the Action 4, the 8, 16 and 32, but I didn't use any of those. I would really have only used the 8 just to protect the lens. Recharging cable, USB-C, and then another cable which was actually quite useful. This is one that's regular USB to USB-C. So the car that I hired, the Mitsubishi, it actually had a charging port USB-C and another one for USB. So I found that to be quite useful to have those 2 different options. A little 10,000 milliamp hour battery bank, and then 2 cases of spare batteries for the Action 4, and I took, one's got 2 and one's got 3, and I just ordered another battery, so in the future I would take 7. I did get all the way up to 6 batteries on some of the longer days. An extension cable, which I didn't use very much, but just for some different shots. And then I've got my hat, my wilderness fly fishing hat. Thanks Scotty for that, with my crucial magnifying glass, 2 times magnifying glasses to help me tie the flies. I didn't mention this earlier, but I did take a pillowcase, which I normally travel with a pillowcase. So items that I sort of forgot is, I actually forgot to take a little plug point with regular USB and a plug with USB-C. Because New Zealand has the same plug configuration as Australia, in the future I would just have taken these. I actually had a travel converter plug. I'm embarrassed to admit I forgot that New Zealand was the same plug. So I had my converter, and that's got 2 USB outputs. So I was able to actually use that to do my charging. So that's pretty well the kit that that I use to do all of the video. So for years I've always traveled with my travel documents in this little pouch. Of course I remembered my passport, but the most serious omission from my very, very well-planned trip was I did not take my physical credit card, and I did not take my driver's license, the physical card. Now, the hire company were willing to accept my New South Wales services digital driver's license in my app. They accepted that. But the physical credit card, there was no working around hiring a car without a physical credit card. Of the 8 hire companies that are at the airport, one of them, which was SIXT, they seemed to be the only one that had modern credit card facilities, and they could hire a car without a physical credit card. But I had already prepaid for the credit card using Easy Car Hire. So, you know, that was a car that I wanted to get, the Mitsubishi. So I was just very, very lucky that Michael Allen, my fishing buddy for the week, he was willing to basically put his credit card down, put himself on as a second driver on the car, and put his credit card down to allow me to get to actually hire the car. And luckily, I didn't do anything to the car, and I returned it in good condition, and there were no extra charges, thank goodness.